In the 90s, there were very few things bigger than The Simpsons and The X-Files, and seeing as how they were both owned by Fox, a crossover between the two was a no-brainer. The Simpsons had a long-running history of satirizing popular movies and TV shows, and on January 12, 1997, The Springfield Files would debut. It couldn't have come at a better time either, as The Simpsons was riding high in its 8th season, and The X-Files would come to see its highest-rated episode of all time just 2 weeks later. The Springfield Files was the brainchild of former showrunners Al Jean and Mike Reiss. During this time, both were working with Disney, but were allowed to come back every now and then to work on some episodes. Al Jean first came up with the idea when at a writer's retreat, he found a TV guide in the bathroom which featured the X-Files on the front cover. According to the episode's commentary, Al claims this was in 1992, but in later interviews he says it was 1995, which would make a lot more sense, as the earliest TV guide featuring the X-Files on the cover that I can find is from 1994, and the show itself didn't even come out until 1993. The two men pitched the idea, and no one really seemed to be all that interested in doing it, so Al and Mike decided to do it themselves. They hired an unknown writer at the time, Reed Harrison, to write the script, which also turned out to be his very first paid writing gig. He knew of the X-Files' existence, but really didn't know much about the show itself. So they kept things simple, following the basic formula of one of the show's Monster of the Week episodes. Something strange happens involving a monster or alien in a small town, and the agents are called in to investigate. Pretty straightforward stuff. During the original pitch, animator David Silverman drew sketches of what the alien, aka Mr. Burns, would look like in the show. They gave him big eyes and elongated his body and made sure to obscure his face, because otherwise you'd know it was Burns from the get-go, and they wanted there to be a mystery surrounding the whole thing. When Chris Carter caught wind of what they were doing, he felt honored that they would take his baby and make a parody of it. Al Jean flew down to Vancouver where the X-Files was filming, so Gillian and David could record their lines, and David was so happy to be doing some comedy, something that he always wanted to do, and he's shown that he has the chops to do it, given his performances in some of the sillier episodes of the show.
Who's the black private dick who's a sex machine with all the chicks? Shaft! Can you dig it?
The episode has the same intro you've always come to expect from The Simpsons, but has Bart writing "The truth is not out there" on the chalkboard, a play on the X-Files' classic catchphrase, "The truth is out there," which appears at the beginning of nearly every single episode. Leonard Nimoy appears for a second time in the series, first being in Marge vs. the Monorail, playing the role of a narrator and basically spoofing his show In Search Of, which showcased mysterious phenomena. It's Friday morning and Homer's decided to spend the day and night getting loaded at Moe's. After having one too many, he's forced to walk home, but that's when things start to get spooky. This take on the Psycho theme is just one of like a million gags throughout the episode, and I love the drummer in the back smoking. Things only get spookier when a billboard tells Homer to diet. He continues his trek through the woods when he stumbles over a tree root and comes face to face with a being from another world. Of course, when Homer gets home, Marge thinks he's nuts, especially since he's been out drinking all day. None of his family members seem to believe him and openly mock him about what he claims he saw. What's funny is the magazine Lisa is reading, Junior Skeptic magazine, was actually created because of this episode. The creators of Skeptic magazine loved the episode so much that they decided to make it a real thing. Homer tries telling his co-workers and the police as well, but no one seems to take anything he says seriously. Cut to Washington, D.C., where two FBI agents, one Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, have picked up on the case.
Look at this, Scully. There's been another unsubstantiated UFO sighting in the heartland of America. We've got to get there right away.
Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, was unfamiliar with the X-Files, and when he heard David and Gillian's performance, he was so confused and asked why they were so flat, not realizing that's basically how they were in the show as well. The agents arrive at the Simpsons' home, and we get the classic Mulder wearing a Speedo gag, which was taken from the X-Files episode Dwayne Barry. They also thought it would be funny to have Mulder wearing the Speedo because it's often the woman that's sexualized, and they wanted to turn things around. The agents bring Homer in to identify the alien he saw, and this is where the writers nearly got in hot water. You've got multiple aliens from various properties like Alf, Chewbacca, Gort from The Day the Earth Stood Still, and Marvin the Martian. They never got any rights to use these characters, but luckily the only one they ever heard back from was Paul Fusco, the puppeteer and voice of Alf, who would have said yo for them if he had known about it. The agents perform some more tests on Homer, which he fails in hilarious fashion, but the best part for any X-Files fan is seeing cigarette-smoking man off in the corner smoking. Although, would he really just be hanging out with Mulder and Scully?
Now we're going to run a few tests. This is a simple lie detector. I'll ask you a few yes or no questions, and you just answer truthfully. Do you understand?
Yes.
Later, Homer is asked to recreate what he was doing the night of the sighting, except the whole thing turns out to be a bust when all they find is Grandpa Simpson and a turtle that stole his teeth. Scully has seen just about all she can at this point and is ready to leave, when Mulder suddenly goes into a long-winded rant about aliens and what have you. The best part is how well they captured Scully's disdain for Mulder's nonsense, even giving her classic eye roll that she's so well known for doing.
There are alien forces acting in ways we can't perceive. Are we alone in the universe? Impossible.
He rants for so long it goes from day to night. At this point, Marge still doesn't believe Homer, although he does have an unlikely supporter all of a sudden in his son Bart. So this next Friday, the two are going back to the woods to get proof of this alien.
What if we don't?
We'll fake it and sell it to the Fox network.
They'll buy anything.
This line is hilarious because back in 1995, Fox released what was claimed to be real footage of an alien autopsy, which has since been proven to be a hoax, and now both The Simpsons and The X-Files have made jokes about it at Fox's expense.
Mulder, this is even hokier than the one they aired on the Fox network. You can't even see what they're operating on.
One of my favorite understated gags in the episode is when Homer and Bart are out camping and every piece of their gear says property of Ned Flanders. The father and son are enjoying the camping trip when the alien makes its return. Bart captures it on camera, which again is also stolen from Ned Flanders. Later on, their footage is shown on the news, which causes quite the fervor within the town, and now everyone wants to know about Homer's alien encounter.
Were you on my roof last night stealing my weather vane?
This interview is over.
That Friday night, the entire town has come to witness this alien, and it's quite the get-together. They've got celebrities, hot dogs, and shirts that say "No Fat Alien Chicks." The alien makes its return like the past few Friday nights, and I guess Homer isn't looking quite so foolish now, is he? Although the town's immediate reaction is to attack it.
This is your alien!
Hello, children. I bring you love.
Originally, they were just going to leave the identity of the alien a mystery and never actually solve it, but instead went with a drugged-up Mr. Burns, who glows a light green because of all the time spent at the nuclear power plant. When the episode came out, it was a huge hit with both fans and critics. In fact, right now on IMDb, it's sitting as the 7th highest rated episode of the entire series, just under Marge vs. the Monorail, which strangely enough also features Leonard Nimoy. So what that tells me is if you want a good episode of The Simpsons, then you need Spock.
I'm Leonard Nimoy. Good night.
Mr. Nimoy, we have 10 minutes left.
Oh.
The Springfield Files is a fun mashup of The Simpsons and The X-Files. Even though Mulder and Scully are only in it for a few minutes, the time they're on screen is golden. There are tons of sci-fi and horror gags throughout the episode that it would take a while to sit down here and list every single one. But it does have one of my all-time favorite jokes in the series when Homer describes his plan to sneak out of work.
And if its speed dropped, it would explode. I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down.
I don't think you need to be a fan of The X-Files to appreciate the episode, but it definitely works a lot better if you are, or if you at least have a general understanding of the characters. The Springfield Files also feels more like a Treehouse of Horror segment than a typical Simpsons episode. They do wackier things like including Kang or Kodos, who generally only appear in the Halloween episodes, and it just has a different vibe to it. Overall though, I think the Springfield Files is a great fun episode, and it's one of my all-time favorites. But what about you? What are your thoughts on the Springfield Files? Let me know down in the comments. Also, I've been thinking of bringing the Treehouse of Horror videos back as a monthly thing instead of waiting for October, so let me know if you think that's a good idea or if I should keep it for Halloween. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you super intelligent people are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video.
And keep watching the skies. Skies.